to her, her mother preferred Taye. A lot of people always preferred Taye. Even in the book, the writer wrote mostly about Taye than Kehinde.
It's true. That's true, actually, because I was reading, I was like, it's obvious this book is about Thai. I don't know, just made sense that way.
Even Kehinde's story has a lot about Taye's letters. Taye's letters.
Right?
What about Kehinde? What about Kehinde? We're going to be discussing the book Butter Honey Pig Bread by Francesca Ekwuyasi. So this is an amazing book that spans generations, talking about a mother and her children. They are twins, Taye and Kehinde, and we get to see their lives and the brief period when they were separated from one another, the lives that they lived separately then, the lives they lived, the mother lived before the children, and the life they got to live with one another when they finally reunited. The writer has a very interesting writing style. I've seen similar writing styles, maybe from like Homegoing, and you mentioned one the other time, A Girl, Woman, Other, where you see different characters and you get to see their lives. But what was interesting about this book was how I felt like food was a major part of this book, and food represented home. Food was very important in the book, and she went into detail as to how to prepare all the foods, like with recipes and everything. It really made you feel like you were in the book as you were doing it with the character. Like it was real. It made it more real. It made the book an enjoyable experience, and also it made it interactive, because I'm definitely going to try out some recipes in this book. And it also made me appreciate food. My mom is always saying that food is like, the presentation of food is very important. And she was saying to me when I was young, like, if food doesn't look good, somebody doesn't want to eat it. Like, it made me think of what she said then, and made me realize that food is a language. And when you want to share this love language, especially in African culture, you want to share that language to your family. People use it to apologize. People use it to get together. It's something that should be done with love and care. And it just made me want to get better at creating my chef-like food experiences. Because sometimes I'll just make a meal and it's just a meal. But to actually put in so much into learning how to do something really well, I think I would actually try that because of this book. One of the characters, that was her outlet on how she let out her stress through baking and food. I wanted to also mention that many times when we're watching like Korean drama, we'll see how food is also a part of their culture. You see them talking about what they want to eat and the different types of food. Even you that are watching it from a faraway country, be like, can I go to South Korea and enjoy this meal? That's exactly how this book made me feel about the types of food that she mentioned. When she mentioned jollof rice, even me, I was like, this is so good. Like, I'm so glad that someone incorporated it enough that somebody that might not even be Nigerian, I've never heard of this, would be like, what is this food that they're writing here? And there is even a recipe. Let me try it out. So I just really like how it felt like she was bringing that culture and food representation of the culture into the book, that made that, because it's a major part of the culture to go there and experience the food and what these people like to eat when they are missing home. And even the characters, like when they gathered together abroad and they were like, oh, they all felt a little homesick. But when they were together, they prepared something that reminded them of home. It was just like a way of feeling like you belong somewhere. And it was just really nice to see. I just loved that very much, especially. That was one thing that was very different about this book. And the writer also went in depth, like the different places she talked about. It was obvious that she has been to those places. She has lived there for a bit. She talked about Montreal, talked about Halifax, talked about Montpellier in France. She talked about London, so parts of London and Lagos. And it was just really like she was there. She knows the stores around. She has experienced it. So many of the experiences that it wasn't someone that was writing it from Googling places at home. Like, it was obvious that this writer has had those experiences. And I was listening to one of her interviews, and they were asking her, like, why did she talk so much about Tai? Because it felt like at the point that I'm like, why am I always hearing Tai's story? But she said, like, she lives in Halifax the longest. Like, she lived there since, like, she relocated there from Nigeria, and she knows Halifax a lot. And since Tai lived in Halifax, she ended up writing so much about, Tai. And Tai's story was so colorful, more colorful than others, I would say. And they showed her imperfections, and everybody was just trying to live in the book. The mother had, they say she's an Ogbanje, but in terms, she was just the person that was a sickle cell. She had sickle cell. And in the past in Nigeria, like, when people had sickle cell, they didn't know what it was. They just felt like this person just keeps dying. And it's just two people that have the AS trait coming together to make children that have sickle cell trait. And when they have this, they'll be dying, and it's just like they said they are leaving their mother or something like that. That's how they described them. So the way she portrayed it, like it was a spirit, reincarnation kind of spirit. And this time, the child had decided to stay. And because she decided to stay instead of dying, there were so many consequences that she had to experience by choosing to stay. And it was just interesting to go down that path as well. So it was just a really beautiful book. And wait, let me see what else I wrote at the beginning. She really represented Africans living abroad, away from home. And it was just really also nice to see that perspective in books. You don't see a lot of that. In one of her interviews, she was like, many Africans live far away from home, and they have a longing for home. But this longing is not one that can be quenched from going home, but it can only be quenched by having an alternate universe where they made a life at home and never even left at all. So it was just really beautiful to see. I listened to it on Audible, and it was the audiobook, and it was so nice. It was read by Amaka Ome. My God, she changed the voice. Whenever there was a new character, she changed the voice, she matched the accents. I have to give, credits to that person, Amaka Ome. Thank you so much for making the recording for the audiobook book, because if somebody had just read it in a monotone, I wouldn't have enjoyed it. And I had no choice but to use the audiobook because I was traveling and things were hectic. So there was no way that I could read the actual physical book because I didn't have any time. So it was just really an enjoyable experience. Then one thing I saw, I would stop talking after a while. After this, I would give you the mic. I realized that butter, because I was like, what is butter, honey, pig bread? I realized butter represented the organic butter she talked about in the first part. And she talked about the butter in the salted caramel cake and how her sister liked butter. And honey was the beehive that she had. And they talked about how she enjoyed the original honey and not the one that they buy in stores. And they also talked about how that's linked to their father as well. And pig, when she represented pork belly and kimchi stew that she talked about. And bread, when she was talking about sourdough bread. Hopefully I got that right, but that's why I thought represented that in those chapters, the butter, honey, pig, and bread. So it was just really beautiful. There was attention to detail. It was a good story. I enjoyed it. I felt like I was in the book, and I loved it. And I loved the letters that Tai wrote to her sister. I think that was one thing I really enjoyed, seeing just how she felt in those moments and how she was still reaching out for someone, in that time. So there's so much I have to say, but I'll just let Temi, start and say some things as well.
So regarding the book, I actually enjoyed the book. Thankfully, it's still very fresh in my memory. I noticed that just as what you said, basically, I noticed that it got to a point when I was reading, I was like, it looks as if, excuse me, it looks as if it was as if Tai was like the main person in the book. Because exactly what you said, what the topic was, honey, butter, pig bread. At first, I didn't really look at the topic because I was like, I guess if I read it, I'll be able to know where that's from. And I noticed that it was all like they were all concentrated in Taye's story, each of Taye's stories. So,
Yeah.
well, that's one that I got out from the book. Another thing I got out from the book was Kambirinachi, which is their mother. I wasn't too sure if she was a sickler. So, because I got confused, they didn't really say, like, the author didn't really say that she had sickle cell or anything like that. At first, I assumed she had sickle cell because, she was dying, coming back, just like the um, Nigerians who explain, they say it's Obanje, she will die and come back, die and come back. Or Yoruba people, they'll call it Abiku. So they didn't really concentrate too much on the physical aspect of her health, but rather the spiritual. Because I got really confused because she had voices that she was hearing. It was as if she was fighting with these voices. So it actually, got to me because I really wanted to know what these voices were. They refer to them as Akin. So that was one bit because I was assuming she was sickle cell, like she had sickle cell. I mean, she had crisis, but they never really talked about her having crisis. They only said like she was fragile and she was always hearing voices and all that. So that really like caught my attention, her growing up and her mother leaving her, her dad dying. That was another thing that really helped me because, she lost her dad and her mother, looking at her, decided to put the blame on her because of, how she is or how strange she is that the father died. I think it was just like this whole superstitious thing going on. So she then dropped, like, gave us a daughter out to, her mother's name is Ikena. So she gave her daughter to her sister, Akuchi, right? I'm not sure, it's Azuchi Akuchi. So she left her daughter there, only visited her once, and just vanished. We never knew what happened to her. And I just felt like when certain things like that happen, maybe a family member, they've lost a family member, it is the time for both of them to be as close as ever because they now just have each other. So I felt really sad for her, the mother blaming her for her father's death spiritually and just leaving her, in the care of her auntie, which, by the way, was so nice. Thankfully, she didn't drop her with someone that was probably, harsh or anything like that. So it must have been very, very, it was very, very, not it must have been, it was very, very, stressful and traumatic. Yes, that's the word, traumatic for her. And she lost her first child. She had a miscarriage, and it was like there was this thing, dragging thing going on to her, like going on with her spiritually. I came with her. I actually really got confused with that. The voices in her head and herself. It was just very, very confusing because I didn't know how to put it. They didn't explain her going to the hospital that much. She didn't have any crisis. So I just really got confused, like what was going on there. I really wish that the author actually put a name to that, so that we actually know what was going on. So
I think maybe all those voices were happening while she was having crisis. Because at the point she woke up and she had vomit on her or something like that. So I think that whole thing where the voices are talking to her might be the crisis.
Because I don't know, maybe because they never really spoke about like the physical aspect of it, because I wouldn't know, I don't know anybody that, has, sickle cell, but sometimes you want to know, does this actually happen? We know the person is down physically, but what happens in the spiritual realm? So I really didn't know whether to connect that to her crisis or anything like that. I just felt like she was, for someone that had so many things surrounding her birth and all that, maybe she was just a special being. That was what I just assumed it as. So I know that her story, yes, just like the daughters, but it was her story that I was always looking forward to, reading and all that. Yes, I think I agree with you because I think the beginning, she never knew she would actually end up growing up, going to school, getting married, having kids and all that, So it was a story that really, really like struck me. Like even the after the death of her husband. That was the one that was like, I don't know, it was kind of, but thankfully she didn't leave her kids or anything like what her mom did to her. But she was absent. It was like she was there, but she wasn't there. She was absent for a long time. And something that really, 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 like really struck me in her story, another thing that struck me in her story was the battle she was having within self. It was as if she was trying to come out from whatever, I don't know how to call it. You said it was a crisis, but it was as if she was trying to come out from a spiritual realm to a physical. At a point, I was comparing it to sleep paralysis because it was, but I think it was greater than that. She knew what was happening to her kids, in the spiritual realm, but she wasn't there physically. She knew they were in danger, they were in trouble, and she wanted to come out from wherever she was, so that she can stand up from the bed and, just go and fight for them or something. But she just saw that she couldn't. It was just a very, her story was just very, 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 what's the word? Should I use the word incredible? I don't know how it's unbelievable. Let me put it that way. It was just something to, till now. Sometimes I just feel like when I was reading, I just felt like dissecting her story properly, but I felt like I couldn't as much as the others. As kids, it was easy to read theirs, but it felt as if our own story was just beyond the normal. Let me just put it that way. So yeah. It's I still have I actually didn't write anything down. So because it's still fresh in my memory, so it's still in my head. So I'll just allow you to talk while I think of some other things. Yeah.
So on what you said about Nachi, just how she was portrayed as that human more than just the mother in the book, I think that was also very beautiful, because it's until we grow up that we realize that our parents are just human like us, and they too have things they are struggling with, and she was still struggling with that. She still had to be a good mother. She still had to show up, because her children needed her. And fine, she wasn't able to show up as much as she wanted, but she really did try her best. Because see, she was even fighting the spiritual realm for her to come out and
To save her kids with what they were going through. Yeah.
Save them. But she did her best, but that was all she could do at that moment. It's just really unfortunate that, those things happened with Kehinde, and
yeah.
I don't mean, she can't blame her sister for not showing up, but I kind of understand in the sense that they had like a telepathy kind of thing going on. So she's like, you should have known. I can't be going through this that you will not know. You can't, but I didn't know it was like multiple times.
I swear, like they never said anything. Like I couldn't, because it was as if when the uncle, wanted to rape her, the person that was staying with their family as soon as her dad died, and the relationship was just weird. The dad's fourth cousin from his father's side came to stay with them as soon as he died. Then she brought her boyfriend, Uncle Ernest, along. And I'm like, what is with this familiarity? Because it was as if they never even knew she existed, when the dad was still alive. And she just decided, she insisted that she wanted to stay with the family, be there for the family, as soon as he died. And the uncle was sexually molesting, harassing, or even raped the Kehinde. And I was surprised that later on, she mentioned that it happened multiple times, because the first time it happened, I assumed that that was when Tai was under the bed listening. The guy sexually assaulted Kehinde, and what is her name, Sister Bisi, came. I think she tried to bring them out of the room, and she told the fourth cousin and the boyfriend, Uncle Ernest, to leave. And that, I thought that was it. I sincerely thought that was it. So I was just wondering, when did it happen like multiple times?
Multiple times. I don't know.
I swear, I don't know.
I'll go to their mom's room. So I don't know if if that was the last time that it happened, that you now chased the guy out. or I don't know.
Because it felt like the time he did it, the time they like the writer wrote about it and Taib was under the bed, it felt like that was the first time it
First
happened.
time, yeah, that's what he did.
Because I was
So she said
expecting,
multiple
okay,
times. I was
yeah,
like,
she said multiple times, and it looked like the subsequent times after that, Taye was then going to her mom's room to sleep, leaving Kende alone in the room, and that's when Uncle Ernest comes in and rapes her. So it was like a bit confusing at that point. Like, I thought it was just a one-time thing because they were also referring to it as when that thing happened,
yeah,
that thing, they didn't mention those times, or she didn't say, oh, multiple times that bad thing happened or something. She just said bad thing happened. So it felt like it was only once it happened.
maybe it happened. Maybe he came back. Maybe in the future. I don't know.
Because
I don't know.
if you notice that Cambrian actually, when she came out from that crisis, let me put it that way,
She knew
she
that.
carried, she knew what had happened. She carried the chair and went to that NS old room and just was hitting the door. You could feel she was very angry and all that, I don't know, maybe she was angry at, yes, she was angry at what the man did to her daughter, and probably also maybe wished she was there, I don't know, was she angry at herself that she couldn't come out from that immediately to save her child? So it's just that she was just putting all that anger on, hitting the door and all that.
Yeah.
But I think that one was the last straw. I think what they told us was the last straw. Because Taye attempted to kill the man in her sleep. That was how bad it was. So she was sleepwalking with a knife and was almost stabbing him when the mom came and picked up the knife.
I don't know if the guy just picked the first person he saw because I cannot imagine why he just picked Kanye. I don't even get the point of picking a young child and saying, no, I'm going to molest her. Like, it just does not make sense. It just, something is wrong with you up there
That's the
because
thing. It's not normal.
it's not
That's the
normal.
thing. So people that tend to do that, they may think they are not, they are not mad, they are not insane, but they definitely are. Your brain has to be twisted for you to even think of molesting a child.
It doesn't make sense.
Unrelated. I was online, and a guy tweeted something and said that he can't believe that his neighbor dropped their 14-year-old child for him to watch over while they're away. That how could they, and that this girl's body is too good, that anything can happen, and if anything happens, they should not blame him because they were the ones that decided to drop their child with him. At that point, I didn't know what to think because I even know someone that came to, drop her child here with me to, just let her stay here. She sincerely told me that she's too scared to drop her child with only male neighbors, which is understandable with the way this world is now, because anybody could think like that guy. So it's quite sad that, some people would sit down. It's just sad.
Even
You can't
the
trust
woman,
them.
can you trust her? Can you trust her? You can't even trust the woman. You can't even say, oh, she's also female.
It's true.
Female, they also rape other females.
Yeah. It's the world has become that bad.
The world is scary. The
It's
world is so scary.
really, really, really struck me. But the book was it was amazing though. I actually enjoyed it.
And so I had an interesting relationship with the Catholic Church. She was like, it was like her comfort zone,
Yeah.
somewhere she could go to just the familiarity of everything kind of gave her like a peace. And she was always just searching for a way to live, a way to keep living, a way to just hold on to something.
And she has
And
that ghost body.
yeah, her variation. from the Catholic Church. You know, she kept seeing this lady, I don't know, lady of
Our
something,
Lady.
her lady. And she kept seeing her appear to her. And that was kind of like the person that kept her company when she was lonely or when she wasn't
Mm,
sure what to do, or when she felt like a bad thing in her spirit that, like when her friend wanted to commit suicide, like
I felt that
she,
was like conscience or something. What do you
yeah,
think?
but then she kept seeing the physical person.
Trisha, I didn't know that at a point. I didn't know
Yeah.
that at a point because it felt more like it was a conscience. Then now was the part where it said a lady was sitting by the door. I said, okay, then I guess this is not a conscience. This is something else.
It's like a, what they call that is
She has
something friend, imaginary friend.
did I sell ghost? I said, okay then, no
So
problem.
yeah, ghost is also another way of seeing it. But she
Mm.
was basically seeing the physical this thing. She wasn't sure if it's because of how much she smoked or whatever to see, but that was what kept her company. And the letters she wrote to her sister, so that made her know there's somebody in this world that she cares about me, even though she's not fully showing it. Because it can be really sad to live in this world thinking you're the only person like yes. It can be really alone. She when she calls her mom is not really fully there. Her mom is like spaced out talking about
That
we.
woman is a wonder. I swear, like she is fascinating, Kende Wistaye.
She's not
And
sure who
yeah, like she and her sisters. Who are your sisters? We are. Who is we? What is going
is we. But the interesting thing, she used that unique way she sees the world to paint, and she was an artist with that, and that
on?
was really cool.
Yes. I
I
could
want
I was trying to imagine how well she drew. That's true.
to be so unique. They said it was like a kaleidoscope, so it's just been quite interesting how
Mm.
she was saying. It was yeah, and I loved how the minor characters had their own stories. Like we got to share Isabella's story, Timi's story. Who's that girl that went to Barcelona?
Aiden.
Aiden, Aiden, yeah.
Aiden.
Aiden, yeah. So we got to hear all these people's stories and share the life with them. It was just very easy to relate to these
And
characters.
Farouk.
Farouk. Farouk's
Yeah.
story quite interesting. He was also
Yeah.
everyone was trying to find a way to live in the book.
Yeah. Very,
Everyone was
very
just trying to live
interesting.
normal life
So many,
and
so many
survive.
people. Okay, continue.
Continue.
Okay, so I just wanted to say that so many people were also like so many people they met, you know,
Mm.
were also trying to like figure it out from their mom, Kambiri Nachi, and the girl she met in school, Mercy, that was like I think that was like her first friend in school, and they actually emphasized that she had sickle cell.
Mm.
So she actually passed. And, meeting her husband, what's his name? Yes, Banji. And meeting her husband's family. Meeting her husband's family because they didn't like how our own family is like no mother, no father, just an aunt that is dating a married man. What kind of dysfunctional. Banji's love for Kambiri Nachi was something else because even his sisters knew that how can this girl come to your life and suddenly you are like this? You were never like this before. And I'm like, shouldn't you be happy? Because it was because of her that he was nicer, he was more generous, he was more patient with you guys and all that. So
Mm.
they had their own story. Another thing that got me was Auntie Yemisi. That's their father's younger sister.
Right, you see.
She had her own story, as in I think she divorced her husband of 12 years or something, and she had 3 kids, Shade being the youngest. And I noticed that just as what they did to her, she was doing to Shadi. And I really wish that parents shouldn't do that. Like, she was the youngest of 4 children, and I think she was being pushed aside, and she was a girl again. So she then did it to her own daughter, who was also the youngest of 3 kids. She had 2 boys, and she treated them like gold, even though they were not in the house with her. And she just pushed away her daughter. Maybe because of neglect, the daughter, you know, got pregnant and Taye knew. Apparently, she has like an antenna that can detect pregnancy. I don't know. Taye knew, and you know, Sade's relationship with her mom was just, they didn't really say much, but we knew it wasn't smooth, that like a mother-daughter relationship should be. And it just got me thinking, like, mothers and their sons are like, I don't know whether they're like gold. I don't understand. Sometimes I don't understand, because you would think that it's the daughter that you should be close to, but they tend to be hard towards the daughter, maybe because they experienced it themselves. So they felt like this is a way I should treat my child if she's a girl as well. So yeah, that also, like, so something that shocked me is like a very minute story from, it's not they are not part of the major,
Yeah.
you know, characters, but it was something that, I took to heart, like their story. So yeah.
And even Toki's story, is it Toki that we call him? And his story was interesting to me because they were saying like he wasn't the same person as he was when he was a child. And he had to be like more masculine. Like you could tell that something had gone, like something was different. Some things have happened between that time when he was a child and now to make him who he was. And they said he lost some light in his eyes or some light in
Mm,
him. And she's like,
yeah.
she wonders if that's because he grew up and if he can see, if he can also see that she lost a little light or something like that. It was just quite
Real
interesting.
life happens. And now they explained that it was very different, always pushing Isabella around. And when they went to Ikoyi Club swimming, he wears speedos and the guy he doesn't wear trunks like the guy. So I could imagine. And he was probably someone that was confident in wearing his speedos, pursuing Isabella. Kids can be so cute, especially if they have mad crushes on their fellow mates. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could imagine what must have happened to him. And I also didn't actually disliked Isabella. I didn't like her. The
Why?
fact that I felt she was using Taye. I don't care whatever it is that she was going through. Maybe, she wasn't aware of her sexuality or anything like that. But I felt she was using Taye. Hmm?
But I knew she was using her.
I know. I'm angry at her. So if you notice Taye, that's who she is. Like,
Mm.
that's why I was like, it would be nice if she could get like therapy to bring herself out of such addiction. But I also felt like Isabella shouldn't have used her like that. I don't know. Kind of like she played
I
with
don't
her.
think that. Maybe I don't know, but Isabella was just searching for any form of happiness she could get. She was she's not so happy in this marriage. She was like, is this marriage going to make me happy? And then she was asking all those questions all those
Yeah,
times.
when she was
And
drunk.
when she was drunk, and she knows that the marriage is not what's going to make her happy. She somehow wants to like hold on to every little bit of happiness she can get because she doesn't feel in her normal life or even in her future life any like glimmer of hope of happiness, and she's wondering how she can find that. And she found that she's really happy with this girl. And every time she's with her, she wants to be with her. So maybe she was just holding on to
But I hope
those.
she's sorted. I don't know whether it's a real story, but I hope she's like sorted it out because she still eventually married Toki.
Yes.
So yes, they felt, oh, they were sorting it out, but it's not worth it. If you I just feel like if you don't love this person or you are not sure, it's one thing to have doubts and it's another thing to be nervous. If you're nervous, oh, okay, you guys are starting a new life, it's just nerves, anything can happen. But if you have doubts and she's definitely not getting, like, she's definitely not happy, what was stopping her from stopping the engagements? I don't know. I just felt like if you're not sure, because it will be hurtful to both you and the person you're married to. So I don't know.
But I don't think she like doesn't like the idea completely of being with Toki. Toki is familiar. She knows Toki. They've played together since they were young. So I mean, I feel like for her, she felt if I'm going to do life, I must well do with somebody that I already know. It's not like she just picked a stranger and tried to, it's her friend that she has known for years. So maybe that's her thought process. I don't know. But she was dealing with her own. Everybody was just dealing with a lot in the book. And
Yeah.
you know how Nigerian tradition is, before you know it, they're asking you, where's your guy? Where's your marriage? And this someone that has loved her for years. I mean, I'm sure she's just like, you know what? Why not?
Mm.
And it's not like she slept with multiple women up and down. She just wanted to try with Tai, who she has always,
Ugh. I just felt like I don't know. I just felt like you just sort your issues first before you know you want to bring someone into it. Anyways, I do like Farouk though. Although they didn't really there wasn't much, but I noticed something. Why was Kende so insecure?
I was
With
even
Farouk
about
and
to touch on that.
Taye. And she
I was
got,
about to touch on that.
yeah, okay. So I don't know. I just felt like because she knew her sister was, gay. So why did she feel that way? Like, where did the insecurity come from? I know that, yes, she's always been, envious of her sister's shape and all that. She's the plumpy one, while her sister is the slim one. The more she eats, the more her sister eats, the more she gets fat or something. I don't know how the whole thing works, but she was really envious about Taye's physique and all that. But I just felt like if you knew your sister is not attracted to men, why were you so insecure about, her and Farouk in the same space or something? Just, I don't know how bad, maybe, I'm not going to say low self-esteem, but I don't know how bad as insecurity was when it comes to her being with Taye. But I don't know, Sha.
So this is like a part of her feels like she's big. She knows it in her heart that that's how she has always felt. Even if it's not like physically, maybe that might not even be the case. Maybe it's just in comparison to her sister. She has just felt like she was bigger. And from when she was young, her mom had been on that case, always talking to her about her weight, her weight, her weight. So to her, it's always something that has been ingrained. That insecurity has been ingrained. Now, she wasn't just having that normal, they are big. This one now, you have somebody that looks exactly like you, but she's looking like the slimmer version of exactly like you, real life, right beside you. So this is basically who you are supposed to look like if you were just slimmer. So that even amplifies the whole situation, because you are seeing that maybe in your own eyes, maybe not in everybody's eyes, but in your own eyes, she's a more beautiful version of yourself right beside you, real, not in your head. And you have this guy you really like, maybe a part of her feels this guy, maybe he doesn't really like my body. Maybe he likes my face, and then he will now see my sister with a slimmer version of my face and prefer my sister to me, something like that. So maybe that's how she has always felt, because it's to her, her mother preferred Tai. A lot of people always preferred Tai. Even in the book, the writer wrote mostly about Tai.
It's true. That's true, actually, because I was reading, I was like, it's obvious this book is about Thai. I don't know, just made sense that way.
In this story has a lot about Taye's letters. Taye's letters.
Right?
What about Kehinde? What about Kehinde? The girl, when she was young, she stayed trade up. She had eating disorders, because she didn't want to eat. And in the end, the problem with not eating is that your metabolism will slow down. And any small food you eat, your body will hold on to it and not let it go. And that's the problem. And that's how you will keep gaining weight. It makes things worse, actually, all those fat diets. So she will go as far as starving. Nobody saw that, she will still talk for Tai. She still tried, but she just never felt seen.
Yeah.
Even her father, when she talked about her father was always, she always thought that her father was always preferring Tai, because talk about the
Me
honey
too.
incident and with the bees, and he took her to the whole place to get her beehive set
But
up, and
he
then
gave her Coca-Cola. So, but then again, Coca-Cola liked Tai, the cat.
oh yes, you see now. So it's just Katie never felt anybody was on her side. So her, she didn't really have a lot of, she didn't have family, not a lot.
Mm.
She didn't have anybody on her side in her family. Maybe she just felt that this
But
one person sees the
yeah, but I
love.
remember what she said. I remember what she said when she went to visit. I mean, when she went to Isabella's engagement party, and she was looking at everyone and old,
Mm,
classmates from school, and she was like, if she hadn't left, because she kind of left everything here, left, because I think she left at
she did
18.
say that.
Yeah. So she didn't have friends, she didn't keep in contact with anyone. So basically all the friends she knows are practically in where was she? Montreal. So
Mm.
she didn't really, it's like she left everything. So having to, having friends and all that, she didn't really have many friends. And I really wish the writer actually talked about her, because I didn't really know what she was doing until later. And I realized she was actually an artist, because
It's
I
also
didn't really
like I'm
like her mom. I was like, that could have been interesting. Artists, their lives are always interesting. Why should have people at least talked more about Kendi, you know.
she just talked about how when she had a miscarriage, that helped her art. So she put all that
Yeah,
into
with
making like
where's that
better.
boyfriend? Wolfie.
Okay.
It was so amazing when Taye saw Wolfie in France. I knew, because when they said he was going to France to go and learn whatever, I mean, ZBA line cook or something, I can't remember. I knew he would meet Taye at some point, because then Taye was in France, and
Mm.
he kept looking at Taye. He was really broken with their relationship, with his relationship with Kehinde. He really, really loved her. So, so sad. And saw Taye in France and just kept looking at her. You guys look alike, blah blah blah. And she automatically remembered what the psychic told about her sister, Wolf, and Love, or something like that. I was like, because the psychic mentioned Wolf, Kende, Love. She was like, ah. Then she believed what the psychic said. It was so amazing that she never intended to send the letters to Kendi. She just kept writing. She just kept writing.
Mm.
She just kept writing. When I got to that part, I was like, are you serious? It's a lie. So she was just writing until Banker then sent it to Kendi. Sorry. So she never actually wanted to send those letters. And I don't know
It was
why.
just like a diary.
Maybe I can't remember. Did
It
she
was
say
like a
why?
diary. My diary. Yeah, it was.
Okay, like a diary. Okay. But she didn't
Just
say why she
wanted
didn't
to
send
tell
it.
somebody, but she didn't have anybody to tell. Is it
Ah,
a lady? She needed somebody to tell. That's the only person she could think of to tell.
she was really lonely. Maybe that was why
It
she was a
was.
play girl or something. She was really, really lonely. I felt so
She said
sad
she
for
would
her though.
call. Kende actually that time she talked about how she called and she would just stay quietly on the phone, and both of them. That's how she knew that.
The only time I do that is somebody called me with a private number. I'm not gonna say
Scammer
hello.
calling.
You talk first. You call me, you talk first. I'm like, so what was the point?
Yeah.
Why did you do that? Like, you call and
She
I'm
should
just saying
have just said,
hello. Just say hello, how are you? I say fine, okay, bye, boom, or something. Just say something. She was really hurt from the whole Uncle Ernest experience, because at a point I was questioning okay, I actually got angry about her, like her keeping quiet under the bed, not saying a word, not shouting. And then again, I was like, she was still a child. She probably was
A
petrified. She
child.
didn't know, was
Yes.
confused. She didn't know what to do. She was shocked.
She
She
pushed the
froze.
man. What would she do?
Like
No.
she froze.
Mm.
I was even thinking of things that she could have done, but I was like, if you really think about it, she was a child. That was the first thing that could come to her head, to keep quiet and not say anything because she didn't know what to do.
Mm.
And I was like, this one alone, this one time, that's when me, I was thinking it was just a one-time thing. This one-time thing is enough for Kende to feel the way she's feeling. But now that I'm hearing that, now that I'm saying that it was multiple times it happened, then I want to believe her the way she's acting was justified to me, to me. But people are different. She probably didn't know what to do and she wanted to maybe collect her thoughts, even if it takes 10 years plus. I don't know. But she felt betrayed. And if she really thinks about it, Taya was still a child, but I don't know.
And Tyler always felt guilty about that thing all her
Yeah, she
life.
always did. She
She
always did.
felt guilty.
Yeah.
They are twins. They're supposed to be connected. They shouldn't, have to be apart for them to realize. Like if it had them being forced to be in Lagos at that time for them to connect. If they were not in Lagos, would they have made up? I don't even know. They needed to be in Lagos. That letters needed to be sent. All those things needed to happen.
So it's a good thing that that girl sends the letters because it's a good thing she did, though. But if you even say let's think about it, not too many things even happen to Kendi like that. You know, Taye's story
Mm,
was I think things really happened to
that is
her.
so personality, but we can't say too many things didn't happen to Kendi.
It's true,
Kendi
Sha,
was
because we don't know. I also wanted
Mhm.
to know the relationship between their mother and that beehive man because I really wanted to know.
They mentioned him like it's not Kenneth, the guy that said he knows her
Is
when
the
he met
beehive
her in
guy?
back.
Is
It's
it the
not the
beehive?
guy.
Was it the
It's
beehive
not the
guy?
guy. It's the guy's name, not Kenneth. It's the beehive guy's name, not Kenneth. My brain was telling me that that is it. Though. I'll cross
Hmm.
check the name. No, 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 no. She might not be the
Hmm.
person.
Like
And me, I
the
was
thing
thinking
was
it was one of
cute.
our Urban Jerry incarnations.
Oh, how bad is Kenneth? What
I'm
is
telling you
Kenneth,
because she said
Babalawo?
she chose to be in that body. So she can choose where she can be. She even mentioned that she played with Usman Dafodio in one of her reincarnations. So I'm like, maybe, she entered somebody's body. Mannerism, because it was like the mannerism, he knows his mannerism, he knows the way the person is
Then if you
behaving.
think about it, shouldn't she be like, I know you, not him being like you look familiar or something? Shouldn't it be the other way around?
I,
I
I
don't know,
guess
Sha.
so. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Another
We never really
interesting
got
character was
clarification.
Toyosi. She
It was
later
interesting.
became pastor's wife. I was like, okay.
It happens, or it happens a lot.
But I don't know a beef
So
between
that's
her and Kambirichi, Keep Kambirinachi. Because I know Kambirinachi mentioned that she should talk to her sugar daddy regarding her husband about job, which I actually felt too that she was too forward because she was keeping quiet. She had just met them. So for her to mention that was a bit, too forward. But I don't think that was enough for her to have some kind of tension because it was for a while, like 8 years since they met.
Yeah, so I was thinking of Thai in Montpellier. I really liked it because Montpellier was actually my second choice. Not my second choice. One of the places I was considering when I was thinking of going to learn French in France. I ended up going
Yeah.
to Rouen, but then I also wanted to go to Montpellier. And I always told myself that I would go back to Montpellier. So to now see it in the book, her going there to, learn French and, learn how to make Catalan food, I just thought really cool. So that was a very cool experience. And then she met Bobby, who was backpacking, because he had left his apartment and he left his job and his fake wife, I won't say fake wife, but wife who married him to take half his money. He knew she didn't love him. but he still went through with it, hoping she would stay, but she left. And he's like, I'm done with this. And he sold everything and just, went backpacking. And that's where she met her first love interest. And it was just a very interesting place for her. I feel like it was a place where she started to find herself or something like that. But I like how she wrote the application to them and she's like, will you be able to, can I work for you guys? I can't afford this except I sell my
I have
blood
to
or
sell
something.
my blood. Yeah.
I was like, it's
So
so
not like
cool.
was the blood joke too forward? I was like,
Too much. It was just too much. And it was really cool. I like that story, but yeah, I really wish we saw more of Kennedy's. Even how be it, maybe it was a more boring this thing, but it just showed that all of them were human. Everybody just had their human story, nobody was perfect in the book. Everybody was going through their own thing. Everybody was trying to live. Even the one that tried to take his life had
I
people,
literally was just thinking about that. Temi.
I love when she called Temi and they were talking, and he's like, bro, come to Lagos. And he's like, are you serious? I'll really come home. And he
The
booked ticket
motherland.
and came. That was
Yeah,
big.
I also love the fact that I gave her the idea of, getting her own food truck because it felt like she was still trying to figure out what it is that she wanted to do. And I felt that was perfect. She can cook local dishes, continental dishes, and she loves doing it, you know. So it will be something, I know it's not easy to start a business, but, the passion is there. So I guess what's left for her is
I always
fun.
say you're always cooking more food than normal.
Yeah, she's always cooking
So
more food so she can cook for large for big people. And God, they love mosas in that family. I never see a family that loves mosa so much. They love mosa. Oh God. So now I felt like eating mosa. And she mentioned empanadas. I was like, no! She did the one with shrimp inside and she went to she shared it with guys. I can't remember where she was. Was it Halifax or London? I can't remember where she was when she
I think
did
I
it.
was maybe she was I don't know. I just saw the kitchen there. I think it was
Yeah.
probably her.
The ending of the book was I don't know. As soon as I just finished, I just paused for a very long time. And I don't know. I was wondering why the writer decided to end the book like that. Sometimes I wonder when I read all these books, I'm like, what goes on in the heads of these writers? Like, I don't know. It was an interesting book.
It really
Yeah,
was.
interesting.
And just here she talked about the Black people history in Halifax, how they've been there for 400 years. I found that quite interesting as
Mm,
well. Yeah. In the end, we're all trying to find ways to live, find peace, happiness.
yeah.
It was a really nice
I
talk.
later saw the part that you were like the halal thing. I was like, oh, okay, that's what the
Oh,
movie was
yes. Yes.
when they were killing the pig. And it affected Kendi. Like, I think that was the first time she ever saw a pig got, shot.
It's strange. Just shooting the animal.
Mm,
I don't know. I didn't know that that's what they do. I
It
didn't know.
looks, yeah, it's so
I don't know. So
dreadful.
is the animal running when they are shooting? I don't even want to talk about this. Kind of
they
strange.
just shoot. They just shoot the animal. That's just it. They don't slaughter like we do in Nigeria. They don't
That's
slaughter.
strange because I didn't know. I thought all animals were killed the way we used
We're
to kill.
slaughtered,
So
yeah.
it
Because
was recently that I just heard about it. I'm like, oh
when
wow.
someone told me, I was like, isn't that how they are killed in the first place? But apparently, there are
That's
some people
it.
that so
That's very interesting. Now I know maybe I'll go and check out halal meat and see if that will taste different to me. Who knows which meat I'm
you
buying
don't
in the
get traumatized
supermarket.
about the chicken.
I don't know, not chicken meat. Not chicken for me, please.
No, okay.
Yeah, this was a really nice session. Thank you so much for being here. And with that, we're just going to go into the prayer. So Temi, can you go for the prayer?
Father in heaven, we thank you, Lord, for today. We thank you for all that you've done. We worship your holy name. Thank you for making us to see a brand new day. Thank you for making us to come here and discuss the book that we read for the month. Father, Lord, I give you all the glory. May your name be highly exalted in Jesus' name. Everlasting Father, we commit the following week into your hands. Father, please take full and total control. Help us and guide us and protect us in all of our endeavors, O Lord. And in the next month, when we are back here, you shall see us through and be able to find every cause to glorify your name. In Jesus' name I've prayed. Amen.
Amen. Okay, have a great day and bye.
Bye.